if you own a business and the talent you need is on the other side of the border, or maybe the clients you serve or opportunities you could expand into is across that border, you're going to want to hear today's guest to make sure that that doesn't become a hassle for you. In fact, it becomes a path of opportunity for you to grow. Let me bring today's guest, Evelyn Ackah. Evelyn, tell me a little bit about what you do.
Well, Don, I am a business immigration lawyer, and that means that I work for companies and professionals and, of course, their families when they move to Canada and the United States for business or for investment, or for opportunities across the border.
Now, is this travel across the border, expansion across the border, a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. Most of what we do is working for businesses that are looking to expand or need highly skilled workers, technical people, highly educated professionals that they need them for a project, to consult, or to start up a new venture in the US or in Canada. And they need that highly skilled and knowledgeable person from one organization, let's say in Europe, to come to Canada, or from Africa to come to the US.
Well, you make it sound easy, but what are some of the challenges businesses are facing in making that happen?
Well, my job is to make it sound easy and to make it look easy. But behind the scenes, we have an incredible team of 15 women, actually, all women law firm at this moment, where we focus on making sure the client gets a seamless experience. And really, it comes from the intake, really understanding what the goals are of the client at the beginning, making sure we're in alignment with what their goals are and what's possible. And then we work on defining what's possible in terms of timeframes, strategy, HR consulting with their HR professionals on the mobility front. And then we develop a plan of action. And then our job is to work on producing the documentation that immigration needs to see to be satisfied that the professional or the entrepreneur is going to meet the requirements for that visa category, and then helping them get that visa category, whether it's at the border or at the airport, or whether it's processed through a consulate so they can move cross borders smoothly.
Now, you got an entire team of lawyers doing all this. That sounds daunting for a single company or an HR department, isn't it?
Well, they're not all lawyers, so that's good to know. That's a team, what I consider our whole team. We've got lawyers, paralegals, immigration consultants, legal assistants, and admin assistants, and people who just help us with everything from intake to the very end, billing clerks. So that whole team is 15 people at the moment. Yeah.
So is there an industry here that is important, or you pretty much work across the board here?
At Echo Law, we work across the board. We work for all industries. We work in construction, software, SaaS companies. We work with people investing in a rural business just as a way to get to Canada. We work with high-tech global mobility companies, accounting firms, consultants. So basically, manufacturing, there is no industry that we cannot help so long as there is a need to move people across the border to Canada and the United States. We can help with that.
And so that's an interesting point, because I heard you mention that before. It doesn't matter what side of the border they're on, does it?
No, because we have an incredible team. So in addition to the 15 people that work for me in Canada, we also have a great group of counsel US attorneys that work for us that are in the US. And so they help us when it's not a NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, or a CUSMA, what it's called now, or USMCA treaty, where a Canadian is going to the US. We work with our of counsel for anybody else who's looking for green card or US citizenship. So that team of incredible attorneys helps us and our team to make sure that we can transition clients from the temporary entry to the permanent long-term staying in the US as permanent residents and citizens.
And Evelyn, I've been across the border personally, and then on business many, many times. This is not something you want to wing, is it? Just thinking that you're going to go handle this on your own. You could do the wrong thing. You're not getting in or out.
Yeah, it has changed. You're absolutely right, Dawn, because there are a lot of changes every day with immigration, and the politics affect immigration. I mean, I remember during COVID, when the borders were closed, that was a huge, shift for many, many business owners, and they had to deal with equipment stuck at the border, dealing with how do I get over? Am I an occupation that is essential, and so things change every week, every month. And so when people think, oh, I've done this before a few years ago, it's just the same old, same old. Undoubtedly, we get a call because something went wrong, because there's so much transition with the climate, with the politics, with the borders, with the treaties. And if you're not up to date on all of that and you try to just use an old package, you will be refused. And that's when we get called. We definitely get called when people are stuck at the border because they tried it on their own. And now it's harder for me because I have to try to fix their mistake. So I really always recommend, like, you wouldn't do your own dental work, you wouldn't do your own operation, surgery. And so why would you do your own immigration when so much is at stake? We had a client recently who tried this on his own before he engaged us. $1 million of equipment, very, very unique, that needed to get over the border with three people who knew how to install and operate it. And they tried it, were refused. And I got the call, I think it was 5 o'clock on a Friday, and they needed to get ready for Monday. And I said, you're not getting in. We have to do a whole application. So we were able to do an intercompany transfer package for the three people that had specialized knowledge. And we had to deal with the border officials talking about the customs issues, the equipment. And by Monday morning, we got them over. And that is what we do. But obviously, it meant we worked all weekend, and it's a premium price at this point now because you've already made it harder, and now I have to fix the mistake. Whereas it's less expensive and easier, in quotes, if you do it right the first time. So that's what I always say to clients. Let's do it right the first time and get you in so you can meet your clients' needs and your business needs as well.
Yeah, get on the front side when you can plan for it. I'm glad, it sounds like you're glad you get that solved, but that's not the way you want to be operating. There's no doubt.
No, definitely not.
So if someone's watching this now and they're wondering, okay, I know I got some immigration issues. I got a lot of things going across the border. I got opportunity across the border. What is it like working with you? Are you going to analyze what they need and go from there? How does that process work?
Working with Ackah Immigration, people always say it's quite unique because we have a wonderful team of intake client engagement coordinators. So even before you talk to a lawyer, they will speak with you in a complimentary discovery call to really learn what you're looking for. We want to make sure it's a good fit for both of us and that what you need is what we can provide for you. So they do that initial discovery call, and when they recognize that we may be able to assist you, they usually recommend we do a consultation, and that is paid. It's 30 minutes with a lawyer for you to be able to get legal advice, to strategize. These are all your options. And we'll go through 1, 2, 3 options so that make sure that you know all your options. And then once you've identified all of your options, then we can determine a roadmap and timing and cost and all the documents and things will be required. And then we start. At my firm, we're very big with technology because we want to have a very personal experience, which is the telephone, which is the Zoom meetings with the whole team. So when it comes to collecting paper, we want to do that as efficiently as possible so we can spend more time talking to you on the phone or via video call, so that, or having you come by the office if you happen to be in the city, so that we can make sure you're getting what you need. So we collect our documents from the clients using technology that allows reminders, because you can imagine if it's a lot of paperwork, getting documents from clients can sometimes be like pulling strings to try to get, please send them to us. So if this will be a reminder every 2, 3, 4 days to say, please, we're still waiting on this document. And once we get everything together, we communicate as well through a very secure portal that is encrypted. So all the confidential information that's shared with us as a law firm remains confidential. And then, as I said, we do a lot of things by telephone and Zoom. So you have, or in person. So our job is to make it seamless and stress-free, and also give you the confidence that it's remaining confidential. Because a lot of times companies are sharing financials, people are sharing their personal details with us, and we want to make sure they feel safe that our technology is at the highest standard. And once the application is prepared, then we also get on a call to prepare you for travel, to make sure you're ready to go to that airport at that border crossing and present your best self. You know what the package is about, you know what you need to emphasize, and I'm also on call. So if something does go off the rails or you have a grumpy officer that day, you know you can call or text your lawyer, and I can pick up the phone and work with the officers at the airport to help smooth the way so you can get your visa or your work permit and get moving and start with your business. That's what it's like to work with ACA Business Immigration Law.
Well, so listen, if you're even on the fence on this, if you're even wondering, is this something that I should just try on my own or could I get by? Or you know for sure that you need this help, don't hesitate. That discovery call doesn't cost you anything. That's to see if this is a good fit. So why would you leave this to chance? Why would you leave your business, your clients, your employees, your team members? Why would you put them in potentially in harm's way, especially as she mentioned with all the change that's going on almost on a daily basis nowadays when
Yes,
crossing the international border here, particularly between U.S. And
yes.
Canada. Evelyn, how do they book that discovery call?
They just reach out to us on all the platforms. You can contact us at acalaw.com. You can contact the office with the phone numbers that you'll find on the website and just call us. We even have WhatsApp ability. So if you're in a whole nother continent, you can reach us still. And or you can fill in a form on our website and somebody will reach out immediately to schedule that discovery call with our client engagement coordinators. There really is nothing to lose. And I think a lot of times people are relying on technology, AI, and they think they know everything. Recently, had somebody called me and said, I'm not going to pay for a consultation because I talked to ChatGPT. And I said, that's okay. What did it tell you? And they told me what it told them. And I said, that is actually not current law because it just changed 2 days ago. This is what happens in immigration law. It is constant change. And you want to make sure you're working with all the right information because it's not worth it to get it wrong. Sometimes employers don't think about this when they send their employees cross-border. We always say, make sure your employee has at least a letter, a business visitor letter, something that verifies that they're not coming for work without a work permit. And if not, if they get stopped, it affects their ability to travel with their family to go to Disneyland. It affects their ability to travel for pleasure, not just for business. So employers need to really take care of their employees as well. They're obligated to make sure that they equip them with everything they need to get across the border smoothly so that their personal life is also not affected.
Well, Evan, I think people are going to underestimate the time some of this stuff takes. Just because you can get something freed up in a weekend doesn't mean that that should be the standard practice. So some of these things can take days, months, weeks. I mean, we're talking some of these things could be a year or more to get everything
Yes.
lined up the way you need. So don't hesitate, don't wait. Book that call, get with her team, figure out if this is a good solution. It's a risk-free opportunity for you. I don't know why you wouldn't take her up on that. If this is even something you're still watching at this point and this is resonating with you, get this done. Get this done. I want to change gears a little bit, Evelyn. What made you get into immigration law? Is that what the guidance counselor said in high school or what?
When I was in high school, my dad used to tell this story. The guidance counselor said, you should be a stewardess on flights because you want to travel the world. And my dad was like, that's great for some people. No, that's not what's happening here. He said, I didn't give up everything in Ghana and go through Germany to come all the way to Canada for you to be a stewardess. You need to take care of us in our old age, which is kind of a cultural, joke where it's like the elderly are taken care of and supported. But my dad was like, we want more for you because we gave up so much for you and then my sister. And so I never thought I would be an immigration lawyer. I actually thought I'd be a litigator. I went to law school because I really believe in advocacy. I did a lot of community work when I was a young student in undergrad, whether it was women's issues, diversity, equity, community, environmental. I just really always had the bug of pushing for change and of helping those that couldn't help themselves and mentoring people and knowing as an immigrant the expectations were high that I was going to do better than my parents did because that was why they immigrated. So I went to law school thinking I'd be a litigator because I like to talk if you haven't already figured it out. And and then when I started working as a lawyer in Toronto, I realized litigation doesn't move fast. It is a slow, creeping process. And there were files there that have been there for like 8 years that still hadn't been finalized. And I remember thinking, I don't want to do this. I need to feel like I'm actually contributing quickly and making an impact sooner. And so I actually became a corporate lawyer for about 2 years, Dawn. And then I found my way to global mobility when I worked in an accounting firm. And I really loved the corporate connection with immigration, which is the people connection. And those two things really worked for me. And I've been doing it now for over 25 years, and it's still my passion.
I love that. Incredible story, incredible background, wanting to help people, but also help profits and also help companies expand and take opportunities that right now, an imaginary line, a political line drawn would stop them from realizing without your help. So
Yeah, and creating jobs for people. Like, I mean, that's the goal here is if, we've created so many jobs, but also companies are allowed to expand here into Canada and the US, and the impact they make on the economy and the generations of people that are coming here and creating legacy. So what that one professional has children and then their children become Canadians, and it's just changes lives. And as an immigrant myself, we moved here when I was 5. I'm just so privileged and I feel so lucky that we immigrated to Canada. Not to say Ghana wasn't a great place. I love my home country, but I think as back in the 70s as a woman, young woman, as a, young person, I don't think I would have seen the same level of opportunities that I would have received here. And so I'm very grateful that my parents took that decision to leave everybody and everything behind, their entire family, to start over. And I think that gives me a real perspective on the immigrant experience as an immigration lawyer, whether my clients are moving from the US to Canada or they're moving from South Africa to Canada. People think it's different if you're coming from another country that's far away, a different continent. But whether it's a Canadian going to the US or American coming, it's still a huge transition. The cultures are very different, even though we all speak English. The cultures are very different, whether you're coming from the UK to Canada. It takes a long time to find your bearings, to find your people, your community, your dentist, your hairdresser, all the things, the clubs you like to go to, for football or soccer or whatever. It takes time to find that connection to your new country. And I remember that as a young person. And I just feel like it brings a lot of empathy. Our whole team, we all are immigrants, or we are married to immigrants, or we have experienced immigration in our family lives. And I think that's what makes this such a unique team because it is very personal for all of us.
well, and you're helping companies find the talent they need and helping that talent not only want to just join that company, but thrive in that company because everything you mentioned will be heavy on their minds if there's problems in this area.
Yes, it's very true. Having a job is great when you come, but it's all the rest of it. And so we always say we provide real wraparound service. It's not just get the work permit, get the visa, and get your family here and start that great job. It is, where do you want to live? I'm from Vancouver. I've lived in Toronto. I live in Calgary. I've traveled across the country. So even though I'm not a relocation expert, I know enough as also as a parent to be like, let's talk about schools. Which neighborhoods? Let me give you my insight if you're asking me what about the cost of living and things like that. As much as I can share that helps them feel like they're getting connected and established, I'm happy to. And we even have some corporate clients that I meet for coffee when they move. If they move to Calgary, I'm determined we're going to have to get together for coffee or breakfast or brunch or whatever, because I want them to know that I'm still here. We're still here to help them, whether it's you get the work permit. Now, what about permanent residence and then citizenship? We're with you for 6, 8, 10 years, depending on how long it takes to get you to that place. If you decide Canada or the US is where you want to make your home permanently, our job is to help you with that.
Excellent, excellent. So, Evelyn, last question I have for you is why wouldn't somebody do this? Why wouldn't somebody embrace your services? Why wouldn't they take this opportunity?
I don't know. I think, when we hear sometimes objections when people call, because that's the thing is we don't reach out to people, they reach out to us. And we get, thousands of people reaching out to us every month. But the issue is it's cost for some people. And I don't think sometimes people understand the value of what we do. And having been successful at it for 26 years, and we have like a 98% success rate. So, we always tell people that the chances are high if we're going to take your file, we won't take it if we don't feel like we can do it successfully. There is always risk, but the reward is so outstanding for you to grow and expand your business and create opportunities for your children. and a legacy for your family. So when people say it's just about price, I always think, let's not commodify this. This is not just lockstep filled forms. It's not. It's about strategy. It's about what is happening on the ground today. Because every day our team and I are looking at the changes, the press releases, the information being shared by the government, even what's on the news one day will change and the law will change overnight. So I think people need to really think about what is at stake for them if they do it wrong. It's so much harder to fix a mistake than to do it right the first time so they can pursue their business expansion and corporate goals.
Absolutely. So you heard it from Evelyn. Don't miss this opportunity. Wherever you're watching this video, it's in the description. It's some in the post. Wherever you're seeing this, take advantage of that discovery call. See if this is a right fit before you get in a situation that you don't want to be calling her Friday at 5 to get a project done for your best client Monday morning. Get this done in advance. Expand your team. Bring on the right talent you need. Have them be productive in your environment as they transition to a potentially new country. Evelyn, pleasure having you on today. I'll leave the last word with you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I love what I do. I'm an immigrant. I always say that, people don't realize this, but I met my father when I was 5 because he left Ghana before I was born and went to Germany and became a mechanic because it was the fastest kind of thing to do. And, never seen snow before. So on our website, there's a picture in the video we have where you see this guy in overalls looking at snow like it was like a miraculous thing and made his way to Vancouver. And when I think about him and the sacrifices he made, and then my mom visited and became a permanent resident, and then he came back for me, and I realized the impact that immigration can have on people's lives and the legacies for generations to come. It is something that makes me very, very proud and happy. And I will do all I can for my clients to help them be successful when they do get to Canada and the United States. It's a lifelong relationship. It's not one and done. So I'm hoping that we'll have the opportunity to work together in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.